Module 3. Device Creation. Module Objectives. In this module, we will understand how to create devices on the Versa Director. Creating a device involves two steps: creating a device group and creating the device itself, by configuring the bind data in the template. We will also understand how to attach service templates to the device template. Device group. We have different templates in Versa, a device template and service template. How do we control which template goes to which device? For this purpose, in Versa SD-WAN we have a construct called device group. Allows you to specify multiple templates that can be applied to multiple devices in the device group. Specifies the order in which templates will be applied. Allows configuring features like two-factor authentication and URL ZTP configuration. Configuring a device group. To configure a device group, click on Configuration. Select the organization, select Device, and then click on Device Groups. Click on Add to configure a new device group. Configure the name of device group. As we are creating the device group under the organization is auto-populated. In this case it is Versa. Select the staging on post-staging template which has to be associated to this device group. In this case we will associate it with post-staging template. URL ZTP can be configured in the device group. To configure URL ZTP, choose the URL ZTP option. Specify if the controller is going to be a staging or a post-staging controller and give the details of the controller name and the VPN profile, and click on OK. This will enable URL ZTP for the devices configured under the device group. We will now understand how we can attach multiple templates to the device group. Click on Post-Staging Template Associations to add the templates. Select the tenant name. Select the type of service template that has to be attached to the device group. Select the service template and click on OK. The service template is created. We can now define the order in which the templates have to be applied. The order of precedence is from top to bottom. The configuration on the topmost template will be retained. Click on OK to apply the device group configuration. Device creation. We have seen how to create different templates and create a device group. In this section we will understand how to create a device on the Versa Director. Creating and deploying a device is also sometimes called as soft onboarding. Device creation has 3 steps to it. First, is to associate the device to a device group. Next, we have to update the network-related information, IP address, LAN subnets, gateway routing, etc. We call this as bind data. And finally deploy the device. To create a new device, log into the Versa Director and click on Workflow, Devices, and then click on Add to create a new device. An Add Device dialog will pop up. This is where the configuration for the device, the bind data information and device group association is done. In the Basic tab, we have to configure a device name, similar to a host name. This has to be unique. Next is the Global Device ID. This value is populated automatically with the next available number. We can change to a different value within the range 101 to 16,383. But, it is recommended to leave it as system assigned. Next we have to select the organization to which this device belongs. In our case this is the Versa organization. Next, we have to define the deployment type. It can be any one-off, bare metal or CPE deployed in a public cloud like Azure or AWS. In our case, this is going to be a bare metal deployment. Next, we have to configure the chassis serial number of the VOS device. This value must be unique. The next step is to choose the device group to which this device belongs. As we saw in the previous section, the device group construct is one, where we define the template or templates that have to be applied to a device and the sequence in which they need to be applied. Next we have to define the service bandwidth for the appliance. This can be defined while creating the template, or, starting release 20.2, we can define the service bandwidth for individual appliance at the time of creating the device. The service bandwidth can be configured in increments of 5 megabits per second. As a best practice, if we have a high availability deployment with 2 WAN links of different bandwidths, It is good to configure the service bandwidth as 2 times that of the higher bandwidth link. Now we have defined the templates the device has to be associated with, the service bandwidth, CPE deployment type and serial number. Click on Continue. We need to give the geolocation information of the device. And, then click on Get Coordinates. This is mandatory. Click on Continue. The next tab is the device service template. Starting release 20.2, we have the option to add the service template at the time of device creation. Click on Edit Post-Staging Template Associations to associate a service template. Alternately, we can add the service template at the time of creating the device group as we saw in the previous section. Service templates can also be added at a later point in time after the device is activated. This gives the user the flexibility with configuring the devices and services at the time of service activation. The next tab is the Bind Data tab, or the Network Configuration tab. In this tab, we have to configure all the parameters which had been parameterized while creating the device template in the service template. Click on the serial number of the device to bring up the Bind Data screen. By default, the Bind Data tab will show the device template only. If we want to fill the service template configuration, click on Service Template in the Bind Data window and choose the appropriate service template. Once we select, we will be able to fill in the parameterized configurations. Important thing to note here is the paired site ID. This is required in high availability deployments to define the site ID of the paired device in the site. We can also use a string, or commonly use the LAN VRRP IP to make the site ID unique. As a good practice, it is advised to choose, or block adjacent numbers to avoid misconfiguration in case both devices are not activated at the same activation window. Click on OK to apply the settings and click on Deploy to create the device. At this stage we have completed creating or soft onboarding the device. The next step is to verify if the device has been created and what is the status of the device. Click on Next to proceed. Verify device creation. We will now understand how to verify if a device has been created. To verify if the hardware has been created. In the Versa Director, go to Administration, Inventory, and then click on Hardware. This will list all the hardware that has been created in the director. The status column in the inventory shows if the device has been activated using one of the ZTP processes or not. A shipped status defines that a site has been created. And a claimed status confirms that the device has been onboarded. We can see that the device which we just created is in shipped status. Summary. In this module we discussed what are device groups, and how to create a device, how to attach a service template to a device, and finally, verify if the device is created and the status of the devices.